having a structure, having a little bit of everything every day goes a long way. Even an hour here and there, just to chip away at things, it really goes a long way.
But Christine, don't you think that these life skills that we're talking about outside of school actually mean more to children going forward, either if they go into tertiary education or an apprenticeship or even a job? Because let's face it, when we're off on holiday, we don't work. OK, we're on holiday. So why should children who diligently work term time, and you can see the poor souls, they are absolutely, as we say in Glasgow, hinging by the end of the term because they can't do anything. They're so exhausted, mentally and physically.
I think, therefore, the problem, therefore, is in the school. Maybe they're pushing them too hard. Maybe it's too intense. Maybe the balance is not right. I think you've got the right balance. You can continue that. Why should there be a break between school and home if you've got it right?
Because it's a holiday.
And I think then you go on holiday and you can relax. I still read. I read all sorts of books. I read academic books. I don't see it as working. I have a lifelong love of learning. And if you instill that in children and make them independent learners, they won't see it as draconian or onerous.
Is there an element there as well that if you are going away from holiday, you're breaking out of the surroundings that you're in week in, week out, school, and taking a little bit of work, not doing excessive amounts, but taking a little bit of work, doing an hour a day? Is that really that much when whatever the child can still go to the beach, can still jump in the swimming pool?
But it's the whole concept of homework. You know, there's been studies coming out, global studies that show that children are more anxious when they get high levels of homework. This is a global phenomenon, not just here in the UK. We've got too much homework. Their sleep patterns are altered. There's anxiety. Do we really have to be giving that to children?
I think that's a blanket statement, though, because not every child has, you know, disturbed sleep patterns. You've got to get the balance right.
Christine, going on from that, then you've got the parents who are working or indeed stay-at-home parents who then have to deal with the fallout from the homework. And there's far bigger battles to fight in the home than fight the battle of homework.
But
it is a huge battle.
Independence into your children, then they should be getting on with it, and you shouldn't be having to mother and standing over them and making sure it's being done.
But that's a very utopic lifestyle, because it certainly doesn't happen in the real world, Christine.
Well, I live in the world and I work in the real world, and I run a school of 850 children, and my children are happy, balanced, and they do their homework. And they go on holiday.
Both these arguments make complete sense to me. I've got a child who's 5, I've got a child who are 11. Actually, I have to say the 5-year-old had more homework than the 11-year-old, but that's because she has 6 lots every single night. It's horrendous. I see both sides of your story, believe me. What about the argument that it actually, when you get to 11, which is this is how I'm justifying it to my own child, right, Lexi, this is because you're at a totally different school now, you're growing up, you're going to have to, you know, in a few years, you're going to get a job. You have to get out of the, sadly, out of the mentality of having a good old time at primary school, Amanda, and knuckle down when you're 11.
Lexi will not just get that from homework, she will get that from a working mother, a professional mother and a father. That's the whole thing. That's where Lexi will get these life skills from. It's not a homework issue. This is not anything to do... She will not get that from doing homework.
But there is a strong argument that it does prepare you for the pressure of what's coming in your life.
Pressure in children these days, especially going through to high school, and I've gone through the A-levels, I've gone through GCSEs, I'm going through GCSEs in 2 years' time. They get an inordinate amount of work to do. But if they're formed correctly, not necessarily with being given oodles and oodles of homework, they will rise to that. They will find their own level and they will work towards the goal that they want.
You've got to have happy children, and the exams, the GCSEs and A-levels are a lot harder. I've brought with me my 15-year-old son today, year 11, who's been working all holiday. He said, Mum, I know I don't like having to do this, but I know I have to. But he aspires to go to university. He says, I know the amount of work I've got to put into, but it hasn't stopped us walking the dog. It hasn't stopped us going to the dungeons down the road, and it hasn't stopped us as a family going
enjoying
to
the holiday as
enjoying
well,
it too.
And I think one of the things that we do in our house, if the homework hasn't been completed for a certain time...
You do it for them, Ben.
No, I don't.
Honest.
I do. Yes, crikey, I couldn't do it.
It's the parents that do the
building things.
Not in our house, but because I can't do it.
I was feeling it already. I'm so thick.
But we will send a message to the teacher saying, Sam's done all the work. He did his 45 minutes or whatever it was, and he got as far as he did. It's not that he hasn't done it. He's just done enough, and it's too late.
And that's fair enough.
And I think that's sort of finding that balance. I think
because all children are different. They all develop at different times. Boys and girls are very different. I know you said about your experience with your girls that you've had to push yours. I haven't. I find girls do things 3 times. They will colour in. Boys are a little bit more laid back. I need a bit of I need a bit pushing constantly, but they all develop at different times, and we've got to give them that space.